The African sun blazed mercilessly over the Serengeti when wildlife photographer David Mitchell witnessed something that would haunt him forever. Through his telephoto lens, he watched as a massive lioness named Zara prowled toward a small, trembling buffalo calf, whose mother lay motionless nearby, victim to a devastating drought that had claimed countless lives across the savannah. Every instinct screamed that this was nature's harsh reality playing out. Predator meets prey in the most primal of encounters. David's finger hovered over his camera's shutter button, preparing to document what he assumed would be a tragic but natural conclusion. Instead, what unfolded before his eyes defied everything he thought he knew about the wild. The little buffalo calf, no more than 3 weeks old, stood frozen in terror as Zara approached. His black coat was dusty and matted, his ribs clearly visible beneath his small frame. He had been trying desperately to wake his mother for 2 days, nudging her still form with his tiny snout, not understanding that she would never rise again. The drought had been brutal that season, and food sources had dwindled to almost nothing. But as Zara drew closer, something extraordinary happened. Instead of the swift, decisive strike David expected, the lioness stopped. She circled the calf slowly, her amber eyes studying him with what could only be described as curiosity rather than hunger. The calf, whom David would later name Thunder for the way he seemed to shake the very ground with his frightened trembling, looked up at his natural enemy with wide, innocent eyes. Then, in a moment that would be talked about in wildlife circles for years to come, Zara did the unthinkable. She laid down beside the orphaned calf and began to groom him with her rough tongue, just as she would her own cubs. Thunder, desperate for any form of comfort and warmth, instinctively moved closer to the lioness, finding solace in the most unlikely of guardians. David watched in amazement as this impossible relationship began to unfold. Day after day he returned to observe and document their bond. Zara would hunt during the early morning hours, always returning to check on Thunder. She led him to water sources and shade during the scorching midday heat. When hyenas approached, drawn by the scent of the vulnerable calf, Zara would position herself protectively between them and Thunder, her fierce roars echoing across the plains. The local Maasai herders began to speak in hushed tones about the lioness and her strange adopted son. Elder tribesman Joseph Kiptu had lived on these lands for 70 years and had never witnessed such behavior. The spirits of the ancestors move through that lioness, he told his fellow herders. She has been chosen to show us something we have forgotten about compassion. For 3 miraculous months, this interspecies family thrived. Thunder grew stronger under Zara's protection, learning to navigate the dangerous landscape of the Serengeti with his fierce adoptive mother as his guide. Zara seemed to understand that Thunder needed different care than her previous cubs. She would nudge him toward patches of nutritious grass, and even learned to hunt smaller prey that Thunder could benefit from, though the young buffalo remained herbivorous by nature. But the Serengeti is unforgiving, and not everyone appreciated this unusual alliance. A pride of lions led by a massive male named Brutus had been watching Zara's strange behavior with growing disapproval. Lions are territorial creatures, and Brutus saw Zara's adoption of Thunder as a sign of weakness that could not be tolerated within his territory. The confrontation came at dawn on a Tuesday morning that started like any other. David had positioned himself at his usual vantage point when he saw Brutus and 3 other lions approaching Zara and Thunder's resting spot. The tension in the air was palpable, as the pride surrounded the unlikely pair. Brutus roared his challenge, demanding that Zara abandon the buffalo calf or face the consequences. For a heart-stopping moment, David thought Zara might comply. She looked down at Thunder, who was pressing close to her side, sensing the danger but trusting completely in her protector. Then Zara made her choice. She stepped forward, placing herself squarely between Brutus and Thunder, and let out a roar so powerful and defiant that it seemed to shake the very earth. This was no longer just about territory or natural order. This was about a mother protecting her child, regardless of species. The battle was fierce, but swift. Zara fought with the fury of a parent defending their young, and her courage inspired something unexpected. Other lionesses from the area began to arrive. They formed a protective circle around Zara and Thunder, understanding on some primal level that what was happening here was bigger than pride politics or territorial disputes. Faced with this united front, Brutus and his followers retreated, but not before Brutus delivered a vicious swipe that left Zara wounded on her left flank. As David watched through his lens, he saw Thunder gently nuzzle his adoptive mother's injury, as if trying to heal her with his love. The story of Zara and Thunder spread beyond the Serengeti, inspiring wildlife conservation efforts and challenging long-held beliefs about animal behavior. Thunder eventually joined a buffalo herd, but not before spending 2 full years under Zara's care, long enough to learn survival skills that would serve him for life. Years later, researchers documented Thunder leading his own herd with a wisdom and fearlessness unusual for his species. And Zara? She continued to patrol the same territory, and locals swear that sometimes, just sometimes, they spot a massive buffalo watching over her from a distance, as if returning the protection she once gave him. This incredible, true story reminds us that love and compassion transcend all boundaries, even those set by nature itself. If this amazing tale of unlikely family bonds touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible wildlife stories that prove the animal kingdom still has secrets that can inspire us all.